cults get a bad rap, and now I don't want to say I don't understand where that stigma comes from. It's a pretty reasonable stigma to have, but there is a lot of double standards. There's a lot of just false. If I started a sports club, and I'm the leader of the sports club, no one cares. No one cares. It's literally whatever. If I start a political group, if people have like-minded political beliefs, then no one cares. No one cares. If I start a Bible study group, and I lead the Bible study group, and I give my interpretations of the Bible, and it's all people of the same religion, and that's totally fine. If I start to say, everyone in my Bible study group, we're kind of like our own thing. We all have our own unique perspective. Let me start, an offshoot of, my new own Christian sect. We're gonna have our own individual beliefs. I start my own Baptist congregation. No one cares. But if I start to say, yeah, I feel like there's stuff missing in the Bible, and I want to add it myself, because of God, which is people, like, God tells people things all the time. So, I don't know why this is. Anyways, now I'm starting a cult. Now I'm starting a cult. I don't understand. I just don't understand why one step to the next was wrong. I don't see it. I personally, ostracize me as much as I want, or as much as you want, but it just doesn't make sense why someone hears what God is God tells someone, she gives a message to someone, and they just interpret it. They interpret it, and they tell people around them, because of course they would want, like, if God told me some stuff about life and the universe, that's what I'm doing right now. I'm telling you guys, partly what I hear from, what she's given to me. I've given her my sign now, whatever. I think what people get wrong is they kind of have this paradigm of truth. They say, like, okay, either the cult is true or it's false. And they just sort of judge things like, okay, well, this cult said this thing that it's false, therefore the cult is false, therefore you can't trust it, therefore the leader is a scoundrel, he's a terrible person, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Here's what I think people miss with this. I think for human beings, truth is, how do I put this? Truth is not the natural state of things. If you have a human being and they tell the truth, that they've never told a lie, they always tell the truth, they're always 100% completely forthcoming, they never lie, whatever. This would be almost a suspicious human being. That's human. The natural state of human beings is you tell the occasional lie, you aren't forthcoming with the truth, you aren't transparent, you kind of meander around, whatever, blah, blah, blah. That's the natural state of humanity. That's what you would expect. If you're not indoctrinated. Indoctrinated is another, like, false term they kind of use to cast, or to ostracize people in cults. If you're following a cult leader, you should expect them to exhibit human qualities, because they're a human. They're ultimately human at the end of the day. They're ultimately a human. If there was a cult and they told the truth 100% of the time about everything, it would almost be indicative. That would be like that would be a concern. That would be concerning, because it's like, I'm not even getting something from another. This is not a peer telling you this. This is not a this is like a demonic. It would be demonic, honestly. You would think, because why would God want to give his message through someone who's not a human, ultimately, who doesn't make mistakes, who isn't always forthcoming, who isn't, it's like you want a religion led by an alien or by a robot or by a computer, and that's not what people are looking for. And so people, now that they come through, is like, oh, I go to the cult and I find out, they lied about this, and the leader, he lied to his wife about, the finances, and he was doing plural marriage and all this sort of stuff, and he lied to the public, and then the government, he said, we're not doing any of the weird orgies in the backyard. No, that's not going on. These things, and this is somehow proof that God wasn't talking to this person, God wasn't giving them insight, God wasn't telling them a lot of things. That's just what pissing me off. It's like, if you're Bill Clinton, no one says, oh, the Democrats are evil because Bill Clinton, slept with the intern or whatever. But if you're a cult leader and you sleep with your intern, then you're totally full of it the entire time. You didn't know what you were talking about. You aren't an expert. You aren't. But it's so demeaning. It's so patronizing. And that's what it is, honestly. It's so. And the ways where people talk about, like, cults are demanding. Cults are demanding, definitely. I'm not going to deny that. But ultimately, what you're buying is a service. You're buying the service of, even let's say the cult is totally made up. Everything's false about it. Whatever, blah, blah, blah. Let's say the cult is made up totally, and all of everything they're telling you is a lie. Whatever, blah, blah, blah. And let's say, if you're in the cult, you give them, half of the money you make in a year, and maybe you do some weird sex stuff, and maybe you spend 40 hours a week working for them, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But they tell you you're going to go to heaven. You can leave the cult, right? You can leave the cult. If the promise of heaven isn't enough for you to do all that weird stuff, then just leave the cult. It's a service. It's a service. It's so, I just hate when people, this is just a libertarian in me. If I want to spend, if I spend $1,000 buying, a PS5 or whatever, no one's gonna be like, oh, you were so manipulated into doing something you wanted, into buying something you wanted to buy. Oh, that was so messed up that the PlayStation, Sony manipulated you into buying the PlayStation. But if, and people are kind of like this with gambling too. If you spend a lot of money on gambling, you must be addicted. You must be whatever, blah, blah, blah. Or drugs, exactly. Drugs, oh, you spent all this money on, heroin, and you must have an addiction or cocaine, whatever. But I don't have an addiction to any of those substances, by the way. But then if you look at, if you give your money to a cult leader to help advance their cause, to help build them an awesome church you're going to be able to use, then you're somehow being manipulated. Then they're evil. Then they're not. It's like oh, PlayStation says the game is really, really fun. It's only kind of fun. Then they must be run by scoundrel, horrible, evil people. But if the cult leader lies about one of the the revelations he got, then yeah. Well, does any of this really make any sense? A cult is a service. If you don't want to feel like you're going, it's kind of like the same as, a cult tells you you're one of the chosen people. You are like one of the morally outstanding, great people. You're going to actually be able to go to heaven. They basically help you. People pay all the time for superiority complexes. That's totally normal. They pay money, to have the better, purse or the better, suit or the better, tie, whatever, blah, blah, blah. People spend money on this all the time to get status, to feel like they're better than other people. That's totally normal, healthy, natural human behavior. But then if you do it in a religious context, if you dedicate yourself to a cult, and the cult tells you, do these things and you'll be better than other people, now somehow there's some, I don't understand what's wrong with the arrangement. I'm in the desert, does your luxury suit make you better than anyone else? No. And I don't think the cult is any different though. It's just so amorphous and stupid. If the cult is offering enough for you to be a part of the cult, which if it's not offering enough, just leave. There's nothing. There's all these, you get ostracized by people. That's a service. Not getting ostracized by people in the cult. No one is entitled to be your friend. No one is entitled to stay your family member. No one is entitled to not ostracize you, to not cast you out, whatever. That is total. It is not like you're not in prison, okay? Cults are not a literal prison. Maybe if you're in maybe you're being, trafficked. That's different. That's a different deal, I'm not saying that's good. But if your family members are gonna kick you out because they're a member of a cult, because you're leaving the cult, if you ran over someone with your car, maybe your family members kick you out, you're not entitled to their attention at all. Their love is not unconditional. That's just what pisses me off about it. There's just so many double standards. People just don't think about it for more than 5 seconds. They just hear the word cult. It must be evil. It must be wrong. It must be so. Ugh. Just grow up and get a grip. Get a grip. I hope this has been a convincing video to all of you. And I'm not necessarily saying join a cult. I think I've got some stuff in the works. So maybe don't join a cult just so you can hear mine first. That's not a promise that I have a cult cooking. And then I wouldn't even call it a cult. A cult, again, I think a cult is like a term. It's kind of like a term, it's kind of like saying conspiracy theorist, where it's like, if you're a conspiracy theorist, if you believed, a true conspiracy, or conspiracy theorist means you must be wrong. You must be wrong. But if you said Brutus is going to murder Caesar, in the Egyptian times, then you're a conspiracy theorist, even though you were right about it. It's so dumb. It's so, and the same thing with cult. It's like, just because all the, we just put you in a box and the box must be wrong. Just grow up. It's so annoying. It is so, what they've done to this term, it is so insulting, because it is a useful term. It is a useful term, but the way they've just added all these negative connotations, it just rubs you the wrong way. Whatever.